Good morning guys and welcome to another video. I'm so excited today. We have one of my dream lenses, the Canon RF 24-105 F4 L USM. This is my first R series lens. Well, sorry, not R. My first L series lens. We got that beautiful ultrasonic motors, and just the build quality is amazing. I've used it for, I want to say, about a week or two. We're going to go into some of my first photos. I haven't done any portraits with it, but you'll see a couple photos here and there at the end. But let's do a quick overview of this. And if you want to see more in-depth, more portraits, more specialty, sports, wildlife, stuff like that, make sure you subscribe because we are going to dig deep into this camera lens. So this lens is just amazing. The whole thing comes in at 1.54 pounds. So it's not extremely light, but it's also not incredibly heavy. About the size of my hand, and it fits really well. It doesn't feel bulky, it doesn't feel overly heavy, and fitting on my EOS R50, it goes well. Super smooth zoom ring, and you obviously have the lens hood for a 77mm filter thread. We'll go from the top down. So from the top, I already have my circular polarizer on here. So a 77mm filter thread. I already have my K&F Concept CPL on there, but just so you know, right here under the red ring, you have the clicking. I have it set to an aperture, which is basically the only thing you want to, but you can program this in your camera and it just sounds good. It sounds good. Anyways, right below it, you have the manual focus ring, which is again very smooth and really good when I'm doing more video stuff, or if I'm doing studio portrait where I can manually focus and not have to worry about it. I'm not saying that the autofocus isn't amazing. You're going to see a couple clips, but this autofocus is spot on. We're going to get deeper into that in just a second. But we already saw this, but our nice zoom ring from 24 to 105. It's tight, but it's not like overly tight to where you can't really move it. It won't really creep. Doesn't want to creep, so that's good, and it's still loose enough to where I can go through the throw very easily. Coming to our little switches, we have a locking switch down here, which locks it, so when you're traveling, you can't move, which is really nice. I appreciate that. Autofocus and manual focuses, autofocus, manual focus, and then stabilizer on and off. So quite a not busy lens in terms of the buttons, but one thing that is busy about it is the actual tube of it. You have your zoom ring right here, and then right above it is your manual focus ring, and then right above that is your clicking ring. So what I've come to learn is that if I'm shooting and I'll zoom like once or twice, I'll just nick the manual focus ring. It's not that big of a deal. I just have to learn to, not touch the manual focus ring, and you have a nice little raised groove to where it goes from your zoom ring to your manual focus ring. So if you just stay behind those grooves, you'll be perfectly fine. Optically, this is a really good lens. Again, it is an F4, so it's about 2 stops higher than my 85mm f2, which it's being filmed on. Also, I've shot 1.4s from the 50mm and then 85 1.2. So this isn't going to be a portrait, just powerhouse, but one of my favorite quotes for this lens is, it's good at everything, it's not great at anything. So it's really good at portraits, really good at landscapes, really good at sports, but with that F4, the sports and portraits aren't going to be the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. Are they professional? Absolutely. In terms of landscapes, it's good. 24-105 is an amazing focal range, but there's sharper, better lenses if you're thinking about doing just portraits. For example, we have the 15-35 if you want to do just landscapes and stuff like that. But this is an amazing lens. You just saw a video filmed on this lens. Actually, the archery video will be linked up in this area if you want to check it out and see how this does in videos. That's going to be a whole separate video of how this performs while I'm filming. So coming into more technical specs, I'm going to look at my monitors because I'm not that smart. We have 18 elements in 14 groups inside of this lens. So it's really well built and it has a lot going on inside of it. Basically, that's what that means. The closest focusing distance we can do is 1.48 feet. So that's give or take like right there at 24 millimeters. And then as you zoom in and zoom in, as you zoom in, it does get farther. But the closest thing you can do is 1.48 feet, which I'm not doing macro shots with this. I don't really care. I have my 85mm f2 macro for those cool macro shots. Anyways, photo size 77 millimeters, as we said before. And that's basically all I want to go over. So in terms of the autofocus, let's start jumping into more of that. We know this is a L USM, so we have those ultrasonic motors. These things are fast. They're smooth, they're fast, and they're basically dead silent. When I'm filming, I did a little clip in the video before, so check that out, the archery one that I just talked about, but I ran up and down and you can't hear the autofocus motors going. Autofocus motors are inside of the lens, so none of this exterior autofocus like I've been used to with my 85mm, but this is super smooth. Let's go ahead and watch a quick clip of some of the autofocus features and how quickly it can autofocus. Okay, so we just saw that, and another thing that we're going to kind of start jumping into now is stabilization. We have 5 stops of stabilization inside of this lens, so even though it is an f4 lens, we do have the ability to drop our shutter speeds down. I was able to shoot at 1/80th of a second and get pretty sharp photos. I will show you one of them actually in the end, landscapes photos, but I'm able to, drop shutter speed down because of the stabilization in here and still keep a really crispy, sharp photo. So trade-offs, good stabilization, f4. It's not bad to me. There's a 24-105 f2.8, which obviously has a bigger aperture, but it's also 3,000. This 300. So if we're thinking about pricing, this is the best lens for your money. Speaking of best lens for your money, this is it. The 24-105 has been on my list of lenses I want for just a long time now. Not only is it such a versatile focal length from 24-105, where you have that wide angle filming, I can vlog with it, landscape, to my favorite portrait focal length, the 85mm lens, and then also relatively telephoto at 105. Now, if you ask me, this is the perfect lens. If you have the money, go grab that 24-105 f2.8. It's an amazing lens. It's one of my dream lenses, but this is the most reasonable dream lens. So I'm amazingly blessed to own this. I'm so happy I bought it. And let's kind of jump into some of the photos I've taken with it so far. And make sure you guys stick around, subscribe to this channel. I'm going to do a lot with this camera lens in terms of portraits, seniors, stuff like that. So make sure you subscribe and take you behind the scenes on some of the photo shoots with this. Let's head over to the computer. Okay, so let's get started here. Let's look at some of these photos taken on the 24-105 f4. Moving on to some more landscapes, just a normal cow down here, and we got some nice green trees. This looks really good. If we want to zoom in on our cow, we do see a little bit of just a smidgen of like a purple haze, like right up here, but that's just so nitpicky since we are zoomed. We're zooming in so much into that, but yeah. This is just a random shot I took of myself shooting on that 24-105. You can see the background here. It's pretty much blown out. Shot at f4. It's not going to be the most beautiful bokeh you've ever seen in your life, but we will get into some more shots where you do see that the f4 aperture is honestly still a really good, bright and good aperture for getting rid of backgrounds. So Moving on here, another landscapes. Really pretty, really good color science. It's just good. Let's take a peek at what it looks like zoomed all the way into 105 millimeters here, if I can do this. Okay, so now let's take a look at some of the all the way zoomed in at 105 millimeters. This is cropped, so let's uncrop it and give it a fair testament. But this was shot here in South Dakota, and we saw some nice elk right here and here, and I wanted to shoot them, but 105 millimeters, again, good at everything, not great at anything. So wildlife photography, you would want that like 100 to 600 or 100 to 500 from Canon, but at 105 millimeters, it's still really good. I mean, we can see clearly these are two bulls. They're not big bulls, but I mean, this one's not bad, but they are still bulls. And you can see that from this far away, it's still a really pretty landscape portrait of just nature. This was shot at f8, so not the wide open f4 that I normally shoot at, but f8 is amazing for landscapes, and actually most of these landscapes were shot at f8, and it looks really, really good. The transition from these flowers into my elk and then into these trees is really pretty. So here we get into some more, things where we're looking at the background blur, but this is a really good picture as well. The background is just gone. It's smooth. Even up here where the trees are and it blends into the grass, it's smooth, really sharp here. I actually think it focused on the mirror itself, not me in the mirror, but still, the mirror is tack sharp. And again, these are fully color graded with my presets. If you want to check my presets out, they're going to be linked in the description below, so make sure you check them out. I got two sets, the focus set and the film set. Here we go. Now we're getting into some more background blur. So this is a really pretty picture of flowers. I don't know much about flowers, but I do enjoy them. I think they're really pretty. I do like picking flowers and stuff like that and putting them places, but really pretty close-up shot, 24 millimeters, using that close focusing distance to get really nice sort of macro shots of these flowers. The color science is really good. This was shot in RAW, and then we color graded it, and it looks really good. There's no chromatic aberration, even with these really sharp. I didn't even notice this little guy. I didn't notice this little guy down here until just now. But there's really no chromatic aberration anywhere, and you can see that I focused on the front of the flower, and it starts to drop out of focus back there. Down at the corners, not really any chromatic aberration, no vignetting at all. This is also some of my own vignetting, so that's why that's there. Moving on to a macro shot of a flower here. Background, again, completely gone, really smooth, really sharp up here. And then my dog. And let's do some food portraits, why not? Again, background's gone, burger sharp. Some of the greatest elk burgers I've ever had. Now we're going to look at the focal range of this lens. So standing in the same spot, don't worry about me missing focus. I was manual focusing it, and we don't have to worry about that. But this is about 24 millimeters. This is the spot where I actually shot the thumbnail for this video on this 85 millimeter lens here. So 24 millimeters, and then all the way into 105. You can see that is quite a difference. Let's get rid of that and do these two. So here's the 105, here's the 24. That is honestly a really big difference. And it looks really good. It's sharp on both sides of it. I actually like that one better. It's sharp, it looks good. This is one of my favorite lenses. You can see once we get that compression, background's gone. Here, we don't really have compression, so background's still kind of sharp. But other than that, this is an amazing lens. So that's basically it for me for this video. If you guys want to see more portraits, engagements, stuff like that. Make sure you subscribe. Again, through all of that here really shortly. So I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, peace. God bless y'all, and mucho besos.